If I want to be that, and I know I'll go down in history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
According to Barbie, she is the reason people are watching the WNBA. She is the reason that people are paying $16 to watch the Chicago Bravado play the Phoenix Masculines later today. What a matchup! The Bravado.
The biggest lie in sports today isn't found in a box score or a post-game interview. It might just be the one Angel Reese told herself, and it was the fans who handed her the receipt in front of the entire world. She had arrived in the WNBA on a tidal wave of manufactured hype, a self-proclaimed queen adorned in a media-crafted crown, ready to claim a throne she believed was her birthright. She famously and defiantly declared that she was a primary reason people were finally watching women's basketball, a statement so dripping with bravado that it demanded an impossible level of greatness to back it up. But when the very people she claimed to captivate were given a voice, a chance to anoint their true stars in the all-star voting, they delivered a verdict so cold, so brutal, it sent a shockwave through the league. The woman positioned by an eager media as the new face of the sport wasn't just snubbed from the starting lineup, she wasn't even a whisper in the top 10. This was no simple oversight. It was a cold, calculated, and public referendum, a moment where the shimmering, carefully curated mirage of her celebrity collided with the unforgiving reality of her on-court performance, exposing the vast empty space between the hype and the truth.
The cap of caps. For the better part of 2 years, maybe even 3 years, the mainstream media has been trying to convince us that Angel Reese is a huge star. Some in the media even do investigative journalism and claim that Angel Reese is the face of the WNBA because she leads the league in followers on social media, along with missed layups and a complete lack of athleticism.
One reason why Mr. Dennis Rodman never got the backlash that Miss Angel Reese is getting, because there is no athlete in the history of sports that have come into a professional league and proclaim themselves to be the best or to be the reason why people are watching this league now. No athlete has ever done that. Not even Caitlin Clark, which we know that is the reason why we watch the WNBA. But you never hear Caitlin Clark say, I am the reason why we are watching the WNBA. LeBron James came into the league. You know what they nicknamed him? They nicknamed him the King. He didn't give himself that nickname. They proclaimed him to be the next one. And what's crazy is in the beginning of LeBron James' career, they said he was too nice. They said he wasn't cocky enough. There's a thing that we love about great athletes. It's called humility. It's a modest or low view of one's importance.
The stage had been perfectly set for Angel Reese to become WNBA royalty. Fresh off a dominant NCAA championship run with LSU, her Bayou Barbie persona transcended basketball and became a full-blown cultural phenomenon. She wasn't just winning games, she was building an empire of influence, one defiant stare down and viral social media post at a time, with millions of followers hanging on her every word and a swagger that challenged the very foundations of how female athletes were expected to behave. She was more than just a draft pick. She was a movement in motion. Her arrival at the Chicago Sky was treated not as a rookie joining a team, but as a savior arriving to elevate a league. The media narrative was locked and loaded. Angel Reese, with her unapologetic attitude and mainstream appeal, was here to shake the WNBA to its core. But the hardwood of the professional league is a sacred proving ground, a place where narratives die and numbers don't lie. When the bright lights of the WNBA turned on, the carefully constructed facade began to crack, revealing a player who was perhaps not ready for the blinding spotlight she had so desperately and loudly craved.
It's garbage. Golly. Man, Angel Reese with a triple single, 9 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds. She was a minus 25. She was 1 for 1 from the field, and it was a three-pointer. She shot 100% from the field. She made a 3, 6 and 6 from the free throw line. 9 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds. Terrible game. Minus 25. Man, the Sky, bro, I don't know what y'all gonna do. Y'all like the punching bag between the Sky and the Connecticut Sun.
Now, guys, y'all saw what happened with Angel Reese. It took her 36 minutes to get it. And as soon as she got it, all these records, right? And why can't I celebrate it? The night before, she was just crashing out on social media, talking about all the fans who hate her because she cute, hate her because of her rebound. And then what got to her was the whole me bounds thing, where people are saying that most of her rebounds come off of her shots. Y'all, if y'all watch this channel, y'all have probably seen, her social media take on that night before the game.
The WNBA is a ruthless meritocracy, a league where college accolades and social media followings are rendered meaningless the moment the ball is tipped. For Angel Reese, this brutal education came in the form of cold, hard statistics that painted a disastrously inefficient picture. The swagger remained, a permanent fixture of her brand, but her on-court production was a ghost. Her field goal percentage, the most fundamental measure of a scorer's efficiency, plummeted to a level that placed her at the very bottom of the league. A shocking reality for a player whose entire identity was built on being a dominant interior force. Game after game, the highlight reels fans expected were replaced with a cringe-worthy compilation of failure, missed point-blank layups that seemed impossible to flub, clumsy offensive possessions that ended in turnovers, and wild off-balance shots from just feet away that missed the rim entirely. The box scores read like a horror story. In one devastating loss, she finished with a player efficiency rating of -25, a statistical black hole that actively harmed her team's chances of winning. In another, she mustered a meager 4 points. The dominant force who feasted in the paint against overwhelmed college competition now looked hesitant, outmatched, and at times utterly lost. This wasn't a rookie slump, it was a glaring, undeniable pattern, a fundamental flaw that was impossible to hide for a player who had so proudly declared herself the main event.
And in simple, you'll get a response. And what's this response I get? Let's go through this together like it was in real time. Angel Reese said people watch the WNBA to see her play. Today is a perfect example of why people don't watch the WNBA at all. Okay, so already this is not trending good. Caitlin Clark is out. Angel Reese is playing. Tickets for the game, $3. Okay, that's a joke they run on the Clippers a lot of times. That doesn't really get to me. Angel Reese pulling up the games like it's New York Fashion Week. Oh, this is what she wore to the game. Not mad at that. Everybody has seen Debo Samuel show up to games and play well, and also not play so well. So I'm still a little torn. I don't know what happened. Then I see this, leaving with 4 points and 2 rebounds.
Angel Reese needs to be better at basketball. I'm not talking about as a person. I'm not talking about as a podcaster. I'm not talking about at the Met Gala. She needs to be a better player if we want this rivalry to be able to have some staying power. She had a very, very busy offseason. But at this moment, it does not seem like the offseason involved a lot of Mikan drills of left-handed layups. Right now, Angel Reese, she is a wildly famous rebounder.
It wasn't just the alarming stats that set off alarm bells. It was her deliberate, almost theatrical embrace of a role she wasn't yet equipped to play. Angel Reese didn't just want to win, she wanted to conquer the narrative, and she chose to do it by casting herself as the league's new villain. This persona was forged in the fiery crucible of her iconic NCAA tournament showdown with Caitlin Clark, where her taunts and stare downs became the stuff of sports legend. She carried that chip on her shoulder into the WNBA, making it clear from day one that she was not there to make friends. The trash talk, the aggressive posturing, the unapologetic confidence, it all became central to the Angel Reese brand. But in the unforgiving world of professional sports, being a villain is a privilege earned through undeniable greatness. Dennis Rodman could be a master of chaos because he was also a defensive demigod and a key cog in a championship dynasty. The unspoken rule is etched in stone. If you are going to talk that loudly, your game has to scream even louder. Fans and critics alike waited, wondering if Reese's on-court performance would ever justify her larger-than-life persona. What happened next, however, would cement her reputation not for what she did with the ball, but for how she reacted to the actions of others.
So even though everybody might think you're the greatest, everybody might be so excited about your performance, you scored 40 points, you come into the press conference, you're like, I guess the shots were just falling for me. Not, I'm the best and none of these motherfuckers can guard me, because they respect the game, they respect players. The reason so many people don't like Angel Reese is because she's self-proclaiming herself to be something that she has not done yet. She said, I am the reason why people are watching the WNBA, but it's not true. What's crazy is her fans don't even watch her game.
Now, for the wildly overrated and shockingly underrated Angel Reese, I saw on X, formerly Twitter the other day that Angel Reese was getting bombarded with criticism for her sorry performance in Chicago's 79-52 home loss to Caitlin Clark's Fever without the injured Caitlin Clark. Ah, man. Angel wound up with a grand total of 4 points on 2 out of 7. Didn't shoot a single free throw. Although she did have 12 rebounds, her average, which does lead the league. But a couple of times Angel drove it and flung up just these wild shots from 3 or 4 feet that missed the rim by, 3 or 4 feet.
The moment that would come to define Angel Reese's turbulent rookie season didn't even involve her touching the basketball. In a highly charged game against the Indiana Fever, the national spotlight was fixated on her rivalry with Caitlin Clark. Then it happened. Her teammate Chennedy Carter delivered a vicious off-ball hip check to Clark, a blatant cheap shot that sent the league's biggest star and meal ticket tumbling to the floor. It was an ugly, unsportsmanlike act that brought the game to a screeching halt. As officials reviewed the play, and a wave of outrage swept through the arena and exploded across social media, cameras panned over to the Chicago Sky bench. There, clear as day for the world to see, was Angel Reese. She was on her feet, a wide, unmistakable grin on her face, clapping with apparent glee. The clip went viral within seconds, becoming an inferno of controversy. To her detractors, this was the ultimate smoking gun. It wasn't competitive fire, it was a display of appalling sportsmanship, a gleeful endorsement of a cowardly attack on her rival. Her defenders tried to frame it as in-the-moment passion, but the visual was too damning. In that single, fleeting moment, she became the face of a bitter narrative, one that suggested her competitiveness had curdled into something far more toxic and petty.
Angel Reese. What happened to the Angel Reese fan base? Have y'all truly abandoned Angel Reese? Is the star shining? Did the star shine dimming on Angel Reese now? Have her own people just left her? Have they forgotten her? Do they no longer love her? I mean, she celebrates mediocrity with the me-bound thing that she thinks that she's just going to so randomly get. I know people all thought that was brilliant and so forth, and she make whatever t-shirts she wants. You do know that patents are not just trademarks are not just given. They take 12 to 18 months for approval, and half of them are rejected.
So it was literally a case of, Angel Reese got in by coaches. So the only players that I would assume are going to get in on, based on that is, I think it'll probably be, I think Caitlin will, obviously. Caitlin will get in. I think it's to pick the starters, I think. So I think it'll be Caitlin, it'll be Fee, it'll be Aaliyah, it'll be Aja, it'll be Stewie, it'll be Paige. Angel Reese is 13th in All-Star voting, lads. She is 13th in All-Star voting.
That festering public perception reached its explosive climax when the WNBA All-Star fan voting results were made public. For a player boasting her celebrity status and relentless media coverage, a top spot seemed all but guaranteed. The outcome, however, was a reality check of catastrophic proportions. Angel Reese didn't just miss a starting spot, she failed to even crack the top 10. Players with a fraction of her media exposure but a mountain of consistent high-level performances were ranked far ahead of her. It was a resounding and humiliating rejection from the very fans she had claimed were tuning in just to see her. The vote was a clear and undeniable message from the public. Social media clout and headline-grabbing antics are no substitute for actual skill. The fans had seen the missed layups, the ugly box scores, and the questionable sportsmanship, and they had cast their judgment. The great hype bubble, which had been stretched to its absolute limit, had finally and spectacularly burst.
Had lost its new point guard, the great Courtney Vandersloot, to just an awful knee injury. She tore her ACL. That was in the first quarter. That took the life out of the home team and took the quarterback out of the offense. But still, Angel looked pretty sorry, as she often does. Just being honest. I mean, as a post player, shooting a lot of point-blank shots at the rim, last year, Angel made only 39% of her shots. Which ranked 50th of 55 players.
With her offensive game now completely exposed, critics began to dissect the one area where she was supposed to be untouchable: rebounding. On paper, Reese was an elite rebounder, consistently ranking among the league leaders. It was the single statistic her supporters clung to as irrefutable proof of her value. But soon, a cynical and cutting new term began to circulate online to describe her prowess: me-bounds. The biting accusation was that a large percentage of her rebounds were not the product of hustle or superior positioning, but were simply the result of her grabbing her own frequent misses. It was like a firefighter getting credit for putting out fires they started themselves. A picture emerged of a player camping out under the basket, knowing a brick was likely coming, just to pad her stats in the most inefficient way possible. While every player benefits from an occasional offensive board off their own miss, the me-bounds theory suggested Reese's numbers were a hollow illusion, another stark example of style over substance, and a way of casting doubt on the only genuinely elite skill she possessed.
You made some comments about Angel Reese.
Yeah.
You called her garbage compared to Caitlin Clark.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I love black people. Mwah, 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 mwah. But I think sometimes we do play the race card too much. This ain't racial. This is about sports. This is about athletic ability. You know what I'm saying? And when you look at Caitlin Clark's game, who's very reminiscent of a Steph Curry based on her range and shooting the three, plus everything else she does. And then you look at Angel Reese, stop it.
While her on-court identity was in crisis, her off-court brand was soaring to new dizzying heights. Angel Reese, the basketball player, was struggling, but Angel Reese, the celebrity, was an undeniable superstar. She stunned on the red carpet at the Met Gala, an exclusive event reserved for the world's most influential figures. She graced the pages of Vogue and secured lucrative endorsement deals with global brands, solidifying her status as a fashion icon and marketing powerhouse. Her pre-game tunnel walks became must-see events, more akin to a Paris runway show than a commute to the locker room. This created a jarring and uncomfortable disconnect. Was she an athlete who happened to be a celebrity, or a celebrity who deigned to play basketball? Critics argued that her priorities were scrambled, that the immense pressure of maintaining Angel Reese Inc. was robbing her of the essential, unglamorous gym time needed to develop a reliable mid-range jumper or even a consistent left-handed finish at the rim. The narrative was no longer about her potential, but about her focus, or lack thereof. So, who is the real Angel Reese? She is a walking, breathing paradox. She brings a level of drama, attention, and pure spectacle to the WNBA that is undeniably valuable in a league still fighting for its share of the spotlight. The raw tension she creates every time she shares a court with a rival makes for compelling television, yet the very foundation of her fame feels increasingly unstable, built not on professional accomplishment but on a collegiate legacy and a carefully cultivated confrontational persona. Her story has pivoted from one of a rising star to a desperate battle for legitimacy. Can she silence the ever-growing chorus of doubters and finally evolve her game to match the magnitude of her own hype? Or is she fated to become a cautionary tale in sports? A marketing phenomenon who was remembered more for her brand than her balling. A player who changed the conversation but could never truly dominate the game. The ball is in her court and her legacy hangs precariously in the balance. Everyone is watching, waiting to see if she can finally deliver on the promise she made to the world and to herself.